And then they just it's all now. It's cash. That was your, he's taught me how to do stuff. Cash. I just sit down and race. When you're fixing, they do crosswords. Yeah. Teach you how to do stuff. Cash code. I didn't see it on. Okay. That's gonna talk. That's gonna talk. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's 4:30 again. Okay, it's 4:30. Let's start off with I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Start off with I get a motion to approve the minutes from the April 3rd, 2023 meeting.
Motion. I'll second it.
Question about the minutes? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion for the approval of the March 2023 Treasurer's Report.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Questions about the Treasurer's Report? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Agenda amendments. Motion to amend the agenda adding 7B, consideration of resolution 2023-08. The reason for the amendment request was received just this morning.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Questions about the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Correspondence? Old business. New business, okay. Motion to approve or deny resolution 2023-07, plan revision for Bardwell property. Does anybody want to?
Tammy.
There you are.
So this is for a small flow treatment facility at the Bardwell property.
Oh.
Failed system, so they are requesting a small flow.
Okay. We got a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second the motion.
Questions regarding that? All in favor?
Do you have a question? I don't know if this is the time to.
Sure.
It is, Mark?
Sure. Yeah, you might as well. This is your thing.
My name is Don McCaws, and I'm here representing my mother-in-law who lives at Bardwell's at the Hershey Road residence.
Okay.
Okay? She has put out already a ton of money on this whole system, which you guys are all aware of. I realize that. The permitting costs and the DEP time and all the other stuff to put it in. And then going through this process, we have recognized or been told via Tammy that we need to pay $1,000 above all the other costs that we have to pay on this. In reading through the ordinance, and please correct me if I have read this wrong, from what I understand, that she is supposed to pay $1,000 in case of a failure of this system so that Summit Township can come in and maintain what needs to be maintained to keep this properly flowing. Understandable. In my opinion, you are charging your residents a fine or a fee to do this before that it's ever failed. I understand you protecting the resident, or the community completely, but you're charging something before it's ever failed. Spotter on your car goes to 120 miles an hour. State cop can't pull you over and give you a fine unless he sees that you're going above that. I'm just looking for clarification why this is.
Can I?
Yes, sure, go ahead.
So, you can thank DEP. And DEP's regulations, it's 25 PA Code 7164, specifically provides that there's to be an escrow related to or other security prior to the planning approval itself. And so the rationale for the escrow, the rationale for creating that is to comply with the DEP regulations, specifically with respect to the creation of the small flow treatment facility.
My question is, you seem to be the only municipality in Erie County, and the engineer we're talking to, like from here all the way down to Pittsburgh, that is requiring this. I half understand it, but I'm questioning why somebody's being charged for a failed system that it has not even had a chance to fail.
Yes, definitely a good question. Well, I guess we could ask our attorneys to look into an alternative way to handle this. I mean, this is my first go around with this particular escrow.
I mean, you have a fine of $1,000, and again, I understand that.
It's an escrow.
It's just an escrow.
Well, but in this also, there is a fine and a schedule of stuff that, you know, the homeowner that can be held to.
So the costs, the small flow treatment facility is to service the property.
Correct.
The cost that the escrow is to cover is for attorney's fees or engineering fees or other fees that the township would incur through the administration of the oversight of that particular facility, as is required by DEP. It's not for fines. Now look, as the property owner, it may feel like a fine, right? It may feel like an additional penalty, but it's not. It's created there for the purpose of being able to have the township be able to tap into that in order to ensure proper compliance. That is because, you know, the other township residents shouldn't have to pay through their tax dollars for the continued oversight and compliance of that particular small flow treatment facility, which only impacts one piece of property.
Understand, but in this case, we're trying to protect the environment, Summit Township and everybody else, by taking the step before anybody can come in and say this thing has failed. We know it's going bad. And we're literally feel like we're being penalized $1,000 for doing the proper thing. If this was done in any other municipality around here, we wouldn't be paying that $1,000. Not saying you're right or wrong, but that's a fact.
And Mr. Davis suggested I take a look at it, develop some recommendations as to what current best practices may be, and I'd be happy to do so, but it's the first time
We appreciate it
tonight.
All right, we thank you, appreciate your time.
Thanks, John, thank you very much. I would say a lot of people aren't as proactive as you may be either. We've had some situations with a lot of things that we've got stuck holding back.
Understandable.
All right, well, thanks for your input, I appreciate that, and then we'll talk more, Tim. So, we got, we don't do either, do we? We did. All right, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, there's that. B, motion to approve and deny resolution 2023-08, Erie County 2023 Hazard Vulnerability Assessment and Mitigation Plan Update.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. To approve.
Any questions about that?
What is it, Tony? I
Um,
don't know if these people know what it is, but I have no idea what it is, and I'd be nice to know what you're voting on.
Do you want to take it, or you want?
Who wants to talk?
The county has been working on this hazard mitigation plan for a while. All 38 municipalities have joined forces with Erie County to adopt this hazard mitigation plan. And in the event that there was ever a tornado or something comes through our region and we're able to apply to the state for compensation for it, with us being signed on to this county-wide hazard mitigation plan, then we would be covered for costs and submitting our costs through county, which would then run through the state. Without being part of it, then we basically opt out. So it's definitely a good thing. I've been working with Phil First he's our emergency management man, and we've got, sat on several meetings. It's a good thing.
Does that trickle all the way down to FEMA eventually? Yeah, it just keeps us in the loop for help from.
I just,
Sure.
doesn't really tell you what it is. I mean,
Yep.
it says hazard, which is maybe weather related, maybe a semi tipping over with contaminants, but it's just nice to know what you guys are voting
Well,
on.
Mark's been involved in it quite a bit, so he definitely knows the details. Sure.
Maybe a little too much.
Yeah, never too much. All right, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Land development, Tammy, do you want to take that one?
So the first plan I have is
I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision plan. It states at 5 points, 8819, 8829 Marley Way.
I'll second that approval.
Questions regarding this plan? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Other business, solicitor?
I don't believe I have it.
Let's see. And then anybody else listed on, oh wait, okay, sorry, there you go. Mr. Jonas?
So two quick things regarding the detour for the Edinburgh Road Bridge. We did a traffic count on Pagan Road, to see if there was any effects there. Basically the traffic count we had about 400 and so cars going through there. 85th percentile speed was 45 miles an hour. The road's posted at 40, so it's within the 5 miles an hour. Comparing it to 2019, we had 700 cars and the same speed on the road, so the speed hasn't changed, and the amount of cars has been reduced by roughly 300 cars a day, so there's less cars using that as a detour. And then the other thing, we sent a request to PennDOT for their evaluation of the Hershey and Hammond Road intersection. We've gotten some concerns there regarding the amount of cars on Hershey and the trouble folks are having making the turn off Hammond onto Hershey. So we sent a letter to PennDOT this morning, and a means to expedite that, I also sent them an email today. They've already responded that they've received it and they're going to be looking into it.
Great.
And that's all I have for tonight.
Oh, great, yeah, I've had several calls myself about that. Okay, great. All right, so supervisors, Mr. Lee?
Thanks for coming. We had a beautiful week last week. Back to reality, I guess. But it's getting better.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
We're still out cutting berms. So far, everybody seems to be quite pleased with what we're doing on berms. With the weather getting turned a little bit sour here, we're gonna start breaking down all of our plow equipment. Probably wait a little bit tomorrow, see what happens, but I think we're home free. And then we're gonna jump on the ditching. But a few of our roads that we're gonna be either darn chipping or paving this year, we wanna get all the ditches clean, make sure the berms are cut, and then a little bit of tree trim along the way. So that'll probably take us to the end of the month doing that.
Great, thank you. And the weather has been great. We actually mowed Old Community Park the other day, and we've been on the ball fields. They're not even wet. The kids are playing ball. They rebuilt Peters Mountain, Field number 2. Been doing a lot of just cleaning up, straightening up. Picnic can will be getting cleaned up this week, but soon. And everything will be open May 1st, and away we go. So looking forward to a nice summer. Thanks for coming. Public input for anybody that wants to talk. Come on up.
So my name's Anthony Arden, Tony. I live on 2350 New Road. And we're new to Summit Township. We built a place there 4 years ago. And I'm up here to talk about a problem of residents down the road. And it's been, can I say his name? Is this,
Dude.
all right, David Gerline. I'm sure this is a name that people can nod their heads to and heard about it. The introduction, we're a month into the house, he drove a vehicle to the back of our property and just staged himself there out of road view. This is 7 in the morning on Thursday. And I call it casing it because this is at 7 a.m. And when he saw that my wife was at the window, and she had already called the state police, he started to get her attention and he was just there to introduce himself and welcome us to the neighborhood, right? Creepy. State police shows up 5 minutes later, and my wife's, and I'm in Buffalo. I travel, I'm overseas a lot and traveling, so you can imagine the panic that sets in. It's around 14 acres, or 600 feet off the road. We came there for a nice peaceful, enjoyment, and then this is, again, we got an intro like this. And as we started talking, the trooper said, "Oh, you must be talking about David Caroline." And he goes into the backstory of the history of problems and issues and in and out of prison and the meth and one of his comments was, "I wish you would have known about him before you decided to build your home here." And so how do you consume that, right? Well, as fate would have it, he ends up getting checked into the psych ward, and it's been peaceful for the last year. Well now, and this has been happening a lot back and forth, there's last count 4 people that have taken up residence in his, we'll call it a shed on the property, and there's just 1 extension cord that's providing power. I'm sure there's code violations that are broke here. An unregistered car in the lot. Can't prove any of this, but I'm certain that there's something that cherry picked with this residence. But so we had an attempt to break in 2 weeks ago, and this was at 7:30 on a Friday, and the individual had a fluorescent green hat on. So I'm thinking not a lot of intelligence and planning that goes into wearing a fluorescent green hat trying to break in, and we scared him off. Trooper came, dusted for prints. Only found a partial, couldn't make anything that would stick. And again, his words, he goes, "I'm 99 point, count your nines, that it's gonna be one of the people that invited himself into that shed." can't prove it, you know, we keep forcing and asking what can be done, you know, we called the township many times, even on the car element, just something to let them know that, hey, people are watching. And I'm just, like, the response I keep getting back is, well, there's nothing we can do. You know, there's nothing we can do. We can't walk onto this property to verify that this car is even allowed on the property. You know, just all these technicalities, and I just feel like, well, we're not being creative enough. You know, Mill Creek has changed zoning. They have to have stick-built residences in a particular area. Just to know what the council is open to get rid of this stain in what has been a beautiful residence. And again, just using the trooper's words, or they can't, if they prove it, this guy would have been gone, you know, from a police standpoint. But they have such a high degree of confidence that the problems that have been manifesting themselves in our attempted break-in are linked to David being back on site and checked himself out of the psych ward, 4 people now living in a shed. And what do you know? You know, we got incidents like this that are occurring. You know, he was spray painting the road a period of time ago, and you know, derogatory remarks about the police. And I mean, there's just this constant. I wish I could bring all the residents on the road, because they all have their stories about this individual. And I'm just concerned about our safety and well-being in lieu of what just happened.
Tammy, we've had violations there.
So they brought your wife brought my attention regarding the solid waste. So immediately Kip went out and he checked out the situation and wrote a letter to David Fierline, and he cleaned it up. In regards to the car, is it covered?
Yeah. 3 vehicles covered, and again, there's one extension cord that goes out to this shed that people are taking up residence in.
I didn't know where they were.
No,
So,
well, Mr. Solicitor, this is when you come in handy, because, you know, we've heard plenty about this character over the last several years. I know Kip's been over there and written him up for several things, the police have been here a lot. And,
They busted up a cocaine ring. Well, I don't know when that was, but that was one of the events that they were helping to unravel.
yeah, it's definitely an issue. I'd like to hear what Tim has to say.
Well, knowing exactly what you said today and nothing more, I would say that if we were to have some level of proof of people living in that particular, in that accessory use building, shed, we might have a zoning violation relative to having 2 primary principal residences on the property. Maybe that's something we can work with, but I mean, Tam was absolutely, or whoever we spoke to is absolutely correct. I mean, we can't walk onto your property and go into your backyard and see what things look like, or anybody else's, regardless of how much we may dislike what somebody's doing on their property, they still have property rights that we have to respect. However, if there are violations, those, you know, once we have adequate proof of those violations, they are things that we regularly enforce. We investigate and enforce to the extent that we're able to put it across without violating people's individual constitutional rights. And so, the only thing that you said that grabbed me as something that we could potentially first jump on is people living in a shed, which would be a second residence in a zoning district that likely has a restriction in only 1 residence per lot. Principal use per lot. Maybe that's something we could do. But we would need some proof.
Do you have a camera or anything outside the house?
Well, yeah, I mean, this has cost us significant money to invest in expanding our security system, you know, across the property.
I'm just saying, if you get caught on camera coming up to the back of your house, there you go.
Right.
But yeah, this is a bad situation, and we've heard a lot about him. I know he's mentally ill. I do know that, that's not your.
But like you mentioned the property rights, like I get someone from the DEP on my property monitoring ash tree growth in the wetlands, like, there's always a way to
That's
invite yourself onto.
That's a different set of rules.
I get it, but I'm saying, I feel like we're not being creative enough. Like, this could be, to me, this, you know, I'll be rambling here, but he's a problem, you know, and it's just a stain for that area, for that community. Like, can we zone him out without impacting the rest of your residents? Like, I feel like there's a creative way to address and tone down the fear and the temperature that he has caused.
If there's people in that building, you know, the roads that'll be taken care of fairly easily. The rest of it, I mean, every single time he's done something off the wall, the cops are over there doing.
Well, and you can read their face in it. I mean, if the 3 troopers that are in that area, they're all exhausted, like, nothing we can do. Like, it's kind of a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, we're gonna look into it harder, I guess, to see what there is to do. All right, well, thanks. Sorry.
No, but thank you for hearing me out.
That's, all right. Anybody else have anything? Okay, we get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.